Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Hey, mama. If you are a mom and are tired of the wash, rinse, repeat burnout cycle of motherhood, this podcast is for you. If you feel lonely and isolated in your motherhood journey, this podcast is for you. If you feel like you have completely lost your identity since your babies were born, this podcast is for you. If you feel like every other mom has it together except for you, this podcast is for you. My name is Amanda, and I'm a life coach dedicated to teaching every mom the tools she needs to liberate herself off the back burner. I am living proof that a woman can be present and loving to her kids while also being a whole-ass person outside of being that kid's mom. The secret? Learning when to say fuck it. Hi, guys. I am so excited to present the first bonus episode of Fuck It Mothering. I am interviewing one of my very dear friends, Andi Franklin, who wrote Love Unpacked. I thought it was the perfect book to be my giveaway book for the month of February, for my February raffle, because you know, February has been all about love and self-love, and her book is such a beautiful journey of finding yourself and learning to love yourself. We really dive into a lot of different topics. I absolutely love talking to her because all of our conversations are very much like what you guys are going to hear. And I'm just very excited to share this with you. So in order to be entered into the raffle, all you have to do is share this episode or any of my podcast episodes or any of her podcast episodes and tag one or both of us in it, or comment, share it, and take a screenshot and send it to us so that we know, and you will be entered into the raffle to win a signed copy of Love Unpacked. I hope you guys enjoyed this special episode.
I just love our journey together as friends because we met in college, but I feel like we weren't really we were acquaintances, you know, we were motherhood brought us together.
1000%. We were we did a show together, friends, you know?
Exactly. Yes. Acquaintances.
And both being young moms, that definitely bonded us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, because we were the first ones in our age group to start having kids.
Yeah.
Isn't it so crazy to look at our friends now and they're just having their first, or they're on their second or something? They have toddlers. Isn't that so weird?
I just went to dinner last week, Derek and I did, with our friends, and they just had a baby. She's going to be 3 months, I think, at the end of this month. And
Ooh,
they're just this is so crazy. We're literally driving home talking about how crazy it is that we have an almost 10-year-old, you know, and they're on their first.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so wild. And also I'm so glad that I don't have a toddler in the house anymore. I could do another baby. I cannot. I refuse to do another fucking toddler. I can't. I can't, dude. I just fucking can't.
And too much work. They're just way too much work.
Well, and I had 8 straight years of somebody being a toddler.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that to yourself, but yeah. I mean,
I don't.
So it worked out, but
yeah, but God, it almost killed me.
Yeah,
especially Aria and Ozzy. I love them so much, but goddamn. I'm sorry, because you are a mom to boys, but any boy mom that tries to come at me being girls are easier because their energy isn't like boys, I'm I will raise you an Aria and an Aria 2.0. Thank you very much.
We all said that Declan and Aria are so similar, so I'm well aware that you have your hands full.
Yes. And it was so crazy, because you and I would share so many stories of those two and just be oh my God, they're the same people. I'm so sorry for you.
I remember I would come to you and ask you questions because I'm trying to figure out what I'm in for since Arya's older.
Yeah.
Or two.
Oh my gosh. But okay, so this is my last tangent story, and then we will dive into like an actual interview and like talking about your book. But I had such a sweet moment with Aria last night. So we were both doing like fine. And yesterday was Monday night. Sunday night, she was like getting all anxious at bedtime. And I had patience on Monday night, but she did it again last night. Not did it again. Stop it. She's an anxious kiddo. And it just was like flaring up at bedtime because that's the time when she stops. She's like a professional bottler like me. But unfortunately for her, last night I also was spiraling and I was just like, Aria, I'm sorry. I can't. I am also freaking out right now. I need you guys to go to bed. I need to be by myself so I can calm my shit down. I have given you the tools. You're just going to have to lay down in bed and figure it out.
Yeah. I mean,
like, this is like literally I was telling my daughter who's in the middle of her own like anxiety thing. And she was just like, Mom, please, can we just do a quick meditation, please? Just a quick one. Because there's this, do you do yoga with Adrienne? Have you heard of that YouTube channel?
I've heard of it, but I haven't done it.
She's amazing. But she also does meditation. She has this like 5-minute do anywhere meditation that I do with Aria.
Yeah.
And I was like, fine. We will do the 5-minute meditation and then you have to go to bed. No matter like where you're at in your life, you have to go to your bed and just figure it out.
Yeah.
That was our deal. So I started shifting laundry baskets around in my bedroom because my bedroom is really small. Like my bed takes up the majority of the space. Okay. Like I gave the kids the giant room, whatever. So I was shifting the laundry baskets around in my rooms to make space on the floor for us to sit down. Because the last time we tried doing meditation in my bed, like laying down, she didn't like it. She was just like fidgeting all around and just ended up sitting anyways. And then so I was also driving myself nuts because I just bought Aowen this hair bonnet to sleep in to try to help with her curls. Cause her hair is like, it's a lot in the morning when she wakes up. It's like this nest that's just like, it looks like she cut her hair, but she didn't. It's all just like a ball at the back of her head.
Poor thing.
And so I'm like, we're going to try a sleeping bonnet. Okay. And I couldn't find it. And I knew that I had put it somewhere earlier yesterday morning and I couldn't remember. And so I was like stressed because the kids were not going to bed. I told them to go to bed and they went downstairs and started rifling through the kitchen. Oh, I fucked up my hair. And then I couldn't find the stupid bonnet. So when I was picking up the laundry baskets, I was like, I wonder if I accidentally put it with the laundry. I had it in my hand and then I probably accidentally threw it in the washer. And that's exactly what I did. So I found it in the laundry basket and I instantly felt calm. And I was like, oh, okay, I know what this was about. So I went back to my room and Aria actually wanted to just do it in my bed. And so she had me sit across from her and she's like, Mom, before we do our meditation, I just want to say that you're always telling us that we need to be honest about our feelings and not bottle stuff up. And I think you need to talk about what's going on with you. And I was like, okay. And my little 10-year-old sat there and fucking coached me through my mind drama. I was like, I'm realizing now what happened with me, honey. I'm really tired and I needed you guys to I was telling myself the story that I needed you guys to go to bed in order to be okay. And you guys weren't listening. And so then I was trying to control you, which never works out because that's not my job. It's not my job to try to control you. And whenever I do, I get really frustrated and I spiral quickly. And then I couldn't find the bonnet. So it just made me feel super out of control, which is so stupid. It was just a stupid sleeping bonnet, but I felt so out of control. I spiraled over a sleeping bonnet.
I mean, it's more of a symbol, right? It's a symbol of that feeling like I'm losing control I don't have
Yes.
hiring. So really,
Yes.
I'm not stupid at all.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, I admitted all that stuff to her, and I'm just like, I'm sorry that, I was just having a human experience. I get stressed out too. And then she led us through meditation.
Aww.
She was like the leader, and it was just so sweet. It melted my heart, and I was just like balled her up into me, and I was like, Aria Kinley, I love you so much. You're so, so, so special. Thank you.
It's incredible when you get to see like the stuff that you've been working on, the stuff that you've been teaching reflected through your children. Like,
Yes.
that's really special because that means that you're walking the walk. Like, you're showing them, and that's cool.
Yeah. It was like, I almost started crying because I was like, this is just so beautiful. This is such a beautiful moment right now.
Yeah. I love that.
I know. She's so sweet. But that's the thing with Aria and Declan. Like, they are such spicy nachos, but then they'll just come out of nowhere and just like punch us in the throat with their sweetness.
Yeah, completely. Declan's still like very much my little boy. Even when I pick him up from school, he's not in that cool guy thing yet. So he'll run right up, just give me a huge hug. He puts his arm. I'm like, I can tell Derek, I'm like, he acts like my boyfriend. I can like hold me by the waist. I'm like, oh my God.
I love that. That's so sweet.
And he's just so affectionate while also being a spicy nacho.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm like, okay, well, at least I'm doing something right because he is very kind and very sweet.
Yes. Yes, he is. He is. And they both just like have like emotional depth, even though they bottle everything.
Yeah. When they choose to let it out, it's very beautiful.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So your beautiful, wonderful book. I'm still so fucking proud of you. Like, you did this.
I know.
You wrote a book. I'm just still like in awe of you.
Honestly, sometimes I don't believe it. I like have to reflect and I'm like, oh my God, I did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever take time to celebrate this accomplishment?
I mean, did I have time? Yeah. But did I? No, because when I released it, it was during the pandemic.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, there's just so much going on in the world at that time that I got into that story of it's selfish of me. It's like attention seeking to even try to like promote this. So I really just kind of like went to my little rabbit hole, like, and burrowed in. Like, did this thing, cool, whatever.
Well, that is such an interesting, like, shame thought that came up for you, though, because why did you write the book?
I know. And that's the funny thing is, okay, so my favorite thing about the whole idea of unpacking or whatever you want to call it is that we want to believe that our progress is linear, but it's not.
Nope.
We just want to believe, like, I wrote the book, I did all the things, I unpacked all these stories, but it's like, I'm 35. I have more stories that are not in that book that I don't even realize I have still that are still just going to keep popping up until I deal with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%. But it's just ironic that you wrote this book not to toot your own horn, but to help other women. And then your brain kicked in and was like, it would be so selfish to try to sell during a pandemic when people need you the most.
I know. I really struggled. I just went through like I mean, like more of my personal story. So I think it was just back to back to back to back things.
Yeah.
That with the pandemic, right before it, I was on a high. Like everything was wonderful. I was releasing a book that I worked really hard on. And then the pandemic happened, and your kids are home 24/7. Declan really struggled with online learning. Bennett still had a speech delay at the time.
Right.
We're doing, it was just the perfect storm, and I just let it weigh me down. I just did. Like,
and there's no fucking shame in that because none of us were prepared to go through that.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that we all just like kind of burrowed under our blankets and we're like, okay, we're going to hit pause on life right now.
Yeah. And I think that moms especially understand how difficult that time was because like all of a sudden you're in this space, however big your space is, with your kids 24/7. They don't understand what's going on. They can feel the energy. They know that like things are uncertain or scary.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of heightened emotions and a lot of unknown.
Yeah.
It was a hard time, I think, for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. It really was. Fucking nuts. And just like, all the uncertainty, like you were saying. I mean, I remember when the lockdown first happened and the kids just wanted to go outside to play because I was in my other townhouse. And it's just a small space for 5 people. But I was so scared and I like didn't know. I was like, well, it's airborne. Like, I don't know if you should go outside because what if the neighbors are also like walking around right now? And then I finally settled on like, okay, you guys can go play outside, but you have to wear a mask, like outside playing. But it was scary and you didn't know anything.
Yeah. No, it was really hard. And my kids have breathing issues. And at the beginning, they were saying this is very respiratory heavy. And so I'm terrified. I'm like, my kids have to be on a nebulizer when they're just getting a regular cold.
Yeah.
Stay at the level, don't go anywhere. Like,
yeah, no, same with Aria. And it was crazy. It was really, really scary. But you know what? Maybe, not maybe. I know that whenever you do decide to like go gung ho on promoting it and like re-releasing it, because that's the great thing about a book, right? It's always there for you. Like in one of my business things that I'm in, someone wrote a book a year ago and she was just like, is it too late to do like a book promo or like a launch, because it was published a year ago? And the person running that meeting was just like, no, it's never too late. Do one every fucking year. That's the great thing about a book. Like it's there. It'll be the right time. It'll be the exact right time when you were meant to do it.
I agree. It's so funny because when I decided I was going to do just like the podcast episodes of the book, it really was just because I had so many people ask, like, is there an audio version? I don't have time to like sit down and read a book. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to spend all this money to do like an Audible. It's ridiculous. I'll just make it into a podcast and give it people for free. And when I started doing it and, I'm being forced to reread my own words out loud and animate them, I was like really proud of myself.
Yeah.
I hadn't read my own book since I wrote it. You know? So kind of going through it, I was like, wow, this is still relevant. It's like, I still feel this way about all these things. And it was just really neat. It was like a moment where I was like, you did that. Good for you.
Yeah, you fucking did this. And it's not just like any book. It's not like you wrote a fiction. Like you were so vulnerable and open and honest and raw with like your stories and your journey. And you just have such a beautiful writer's voice and such a beautiful way of telling these stories and coming up with analogies and images and just such a rich way of drawing the reader in, which I've always loved about you. And you fucking did it, like 15 chapters worth. It's incredible.
Thank you.
So I suppose I was supposed to like put together a whole list of questions and be organized, but we've seen my notes. So we're just going to wing it. So let's start with, why did you decide to write a book? Why didn't you just, go through your personal journey of self-development and self-help and journal and all that stuff and be like, wow, I feel so much better. Next.
Sure. Well, it was like a divine intervention thing. I remember I was standing in my kitchen at my old house. And I think I was like making a sandwich or something. And I literally heard a voice in my head out of nowhere, call it God, whatever you want to call it, that said, you need to write a book about sex. And I'm like, the fuck I do. I think not. Like, I just laughed, like, okay, my brain's being stupid and crazy. And I left it. I left it. And then the voice just kept coming back and it wouldn't go away. And so finally I decided, okay, I'm just going to open up my notes app in my phone and just, what would that even look like? And I just wrote down a couple of things. And that way I was like, it'll just silence the beast, you know?
Right.
And so I did that. And then I sat on it for probably a year and a half. But it just kept coming up. And I'd go back into the notes and maybe change something here, change something there. And finally, I just got tired of hearing the voice. So I was like, okay, fine. I guess I'm going to just write this. It doesn't matter. I don't have to share it with anyone. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't have anything. But then it just started writing itself. What I thought it was going to be was nothing like what it ended up being. And I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but my book really did take me on a journey. Because when I decided, okay, I'm going to do this, that's when I started really unpacking things.
Okay.
And so as I'm writing it and as I'm like outlining these ideas of, okay, well, these were impactful moments in my life. And this is what was happening here. I was also being forced to like remember all those memories in great detail and then work through them. And so it was really therapeutic. And as I was going through the process, the stupid voice just kept telling me that I needed to share it. So I listened to the stupid voice in my head. I mean, that makes me sound like unhinged, but
you're talking to Elsa over here, hearing the and you're like, I can't sleep. I'm just going to go into the wild, okay?
And that's really how it felt. I was just like, this is so ridiculous. And like, Derek is a saint because I was a mess when I was writing my book. Because like I said, like things kept popping up. I would have revelations in the middle of the day, like, oh my gosh, betrayal. I didn't even think of betrayal, you know? And then it's like a big thing. And then you're going down this rabbit hole and you have to unpack it in lifetime, and unpacking is messy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so it is. Especially when you're not anticipating unpacking. So what was your original intention with this book? What was it supposed to look like?
Oh my gosh. When I finally was like, okay, maybe I'll write it. This is a small story, but like we were in Paris for a work thing that Derek had, and we're sitting at a pub, and I just remember so distinctly. And I'm like, I have to write this stupid book. I really don't know what to do. Like, I feel like I have to write it. And he's like, okay, well, what would that book look like? And I'm like, well, it's supposed to be about sex. So I don't know, maybe like just my shame journey that I've had, because I was raised very conservatively and I was taught, that like sex is bad, especially as a woman,
Yep.
I had a lot of shame around sex, but then I'm married and I'm still dealing with that shame. So I really thought that it was going to be mostly about that at first, like just that learning to, be comfortable in your own body and in your own skin. And it is about that, but it's so much more than that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, honestly, it really is about that. You just weren't aware of the depth that you were going to have to dig into in order to flesh it out.
Yeah. And I honestly at the time didn't see the deeper, like overlaying theme of just loving yourself.
Yeah.
To me, it was still like partner based and still, okay, let me just get rid of the shame and then I can be whatever with my partner.
Right.
Not let me get rid of the shame and these other things and be good with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is so important. To like be okay on your own, even if you are in a partnership, because it's really not their job at all to create any of that for us.
Right. And I mean, I learned that in the book. Like as I was going through it, I did. I was like, oh, wow, I have a real codependency here. And I'm really expecting this person to fill all these gaps for me that are not his responsibility to fill. And he can't, even if he wanted to.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, that's the message that we get, right? That's what romantic love and partnership. That's how it's fed to us. You know, like a man is going to come and choose you. He's going to choose you and you're going to be so lucky. And then your life is just going to be wonderful. And he's going to be so strong and he'll make you feel secure.
Yeah.
So until you get that validation that you're chosen, then, you know, your life really doesn't mean very much.
Which is so funny because even when you do get that validation, you're still like, I hate me and I'm gross and wrong with me. It doesn't, you know.
No, it's almost like you still have your same brain with you even after you get married.
I mean, honestly, it's like that with everything. Like even if you do the weight loss thing and you lose all the weight, you still look at yourself and you're still picking yourself apart. It's like, if you're not right here and here, it doesn't matter what's going on here or there.
Nope. Love and validation will not come at a certain number on the scale. It won't come with, you know, a partner. It won't come with a house or a job or a car or anything because your same brain will be going with you through all of that and you'll still be shitting on yourself.
It seems so obvious and yet it's not. Like we expect that little fairy tale. We expect the knight in shining armor to come in and fix the issues or whatever to insert fixer upper here, you know?
Yep. Exactly. But it's just how we're socialized. It's our culture. So I'm really looking forward to seeing our kids' generation and then our grandkids' generation to see if we are able to make an effective change to that narrative.
Yeah.
Like lasting change.
Yeah, that's the lasting part, right? Can it hold against peers and everything else? That'll be the interesting thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you hit a lot of different themes in your book, which I just love so much. I mean, we have women's socialization and initiating sex, and also, you know, how can we as moms normalize conversations about sex with our kids so that way our kids don't have the same experience that you and I had of like feeling ashamed of our sexuality and feeling ashamed of our bodies and our urges and desires. And women and showing men how to please us, like just even speaking up in bed and being like, actually, I don't really like that. Can you do this instead? Or knowing your body well enough to be able to instruct them. And how pleasure is not just about sex. Like we have to talk about that in more depth. And I'm reading through my sloppy notes. Women in anger. We're not allowed to be angry and it's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
If a woman is angry, she's unbecoming. She's, you know, ugly and a ball buster and.
Or she's on her period, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yep. We're just crazy and irrational if we're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's total bullshit. But on the flip side, men do have the same sort of stigmatization, like stigma. How do you say that word? Did I say it right?
I don't know. Would it be stigmata? I have no idea.
I don't know, but whatever.
All the writers.
Whatever. In our defense, the English language is stupid. Okay.
And ever changing.
Yes. It's annoying. But anyways, guys have the same thing going on for them with like sadness.
Yeah.
And that sort of emotional vulnerability. They're not allowed to be sad or really scared, you know, or have any of those like insecurities. But this podcast is not about men. So we're just going to focus on our struggles. They can have their own podcast.
They have plenty of them, yeah.
I think men have had quite a lot of help throughout all of history. You know, they've had their time to really dig deep and do the work. And that's not my job. So moving on. it's so interesting how all women struggle with this, or not all women, I shouldn't like say, but like the mass majority of women, we all have the same struggle of like not wanting to initiate sex. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, I think that we have a lot of deeply ingrained things that come from generation to generation. Like our parents' generation was the be seen but not heard, right?
Right.
Especially little girls. Generation before that was like, you're supposed to be doing all these like housewife duties. Husband does this, he goes here, even sleeping in separate beds, totally normal, which some people do, and that's fine. But it's just, I think that we were raised to be agreeable. We were raised to be obedient, and we're raised to be caring and caregivers. And so part of that is like an abandonment of self sometimes, right? Like, I'm going to take your needs and put them over my own. I'm not going to rock the boat. I don't want to make him feel insecure.
Right.
You know?
Right. And also it's just like, what if he's not in the mood?
There's also the fear of rejection.
But how often do they solicit sex from us when, I'm sorry, like, read the room, pal. I walked in a fury, bitching, and you, what? No, fuck off. Why would you think I want that tonight? But most of the time, not most of the time, always, I always still did it anyways. Because I was worried about hurting his feelings if I said no.
I think that we inherently understand that men are raised to get what they want. They're raised to have that kind of like full confidence in themselves that they can just walk into a room and try.
Yeah.
Whereas we are not raised that way as women usually. At least our generation and below, we're not. And so for us, it's like, yeah, I'm afraid that he's going to reject me. Whereas in his mind, that's not even a thing. But she's going to reject me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I've already chosen her. She'll be thrilled.
Right. It really is that. It really is.
Yeah. Because we're always like waiting to be asked out. It's weird if a woman asks a man out on a date, right? It's weird if a woman proposes instead of the man, because you have to wait. Like, we're just expected to sit around and wait until he wants to, or he's ready. And then we have to just be like ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. They want, it was the lady in the streets, breaking the sheets, right?
Right.
Like, but also the problem too is that we're expected to just turn it on and off. Like,
yep. Yep.
And that's not how the female body works.
No. I actually really resent when guys complain. They're just like, well, it's so easy for women because you just have to show up and you're ready. Like, a guy has a lot on his shoulders because, like, if we can't get hard, then it just doesn't happen. It's like, excuse me, sex is so much more than just penetration. If you don't get hard, there's still a lot more that you could do for me. Also, I don't show up just like ready to go.
It's a huge mental battle for women. When I was starting to write the book and I was kind of thinking it was going to be more about sex, I did research, some research, and I did an interview with an author, Lori. I cannot think of her last name right now, but I did an interview with her because I was interested, and she writes about sex and the female orgasm. And she was telling me that for women, it really is up here. Mm-hmm. If this is not connected, like if your brain is not in the right place, like it's virtually impossible.
Yeah.
And that for most of us, we have to, like, we think we should be turned on first. But you actually have to like get turned on. You have to be turned on in a way.
Yeah.
Like touch, things like that. Men can just be turned on. And then obviously women can be as well. But for us, it's mostly like we need this more like intimate connection first, and then get the physical sensation.
Yes, exactly. Which is why when we're pissed off, don't fucking touch us. It's not what I want.
Well, it's hard for moms too, because especially when you have little ones, you're being touched all day long.
Yes, I remember that. Like, just I was so like stimulation overload with all of the noise, and then just having a baby and a toddler and a preschool, like everybody on me all the time, like touching me. I'm just like, stop touching me, stop. I just want to like go in a blanket and just like stop it.
Yeah. I mean, we're humans too. We need like regulation. So without those
Wait, moms are humans?
I know, it's so weird.
We're not machines?
You wouldn't think otherwise with the way we're expected to do all the things.
Oh my God, I know. It's fucking insane. Like, if you broke down what a mom does into like, okay, if she wasn't here and we had to hire people to do this, the amount of money it would cost you, and we do all this shit for free. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and
that is another podcast, probably.
But the mental load does play into that, like, sexual desire or lack thereof. Because
100%.
If you're holding, the keys to all the castles, and you have to make sure that all the Spirit Day stuff is done, and they have a test tomorrow, and blah, 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 blah. And all your husband is thinking, or your partner is thinking, is like, ooh, I want to get some. Like, there's a huge disparity there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, the invisible workload is a real thing that everybody needs to start talking about more, because it's like a mom has to use so much mental energy to think of, the school stuff, the dance stuff, the karate stuff, the sports stuff, partner's schedule and my schedule, and the dog needs to go to the vet, and we need to get the lawn treated or the pipes winterized, all of these things. It's like just the fact that we have to put a to-do list together for the partner and hand it over. Like, if they get it done, they want a gold star. And it's like, bitch, I had to do that first. You need to help carry that mental load.
You know what, though? I think that's another thing about men and women and how they're raised, and like part of the problem with that, because men are raised to deal with the problem in front of them. Like, here is a bunch of blocks, build something. Mm-hmm. Here's your problem in front of you, and here's the perfectly laid out map of how to do it, like Legos or building cars. Women are given like really like more. What's the word I'm looking for? We are given more like fantasy version of things. Like, here's a baby doll, create and anticipate their needs. Like, create an entire scenario here of what this would what would happen here for this baby.
So right. You are so right. Yeah. When my girls are playing house and like with babies and stuff, that's exactly what they're doing. And I hear them, they're planning out the entire day. They go through an entire day and they're like, okay, we got to pack up the diaper bag. And
so we're taught to anticipate others' needs, and men are taught to deal with what's right in front of them.
So, it's so good.
Yeah. And so shitty.
Yes. So shitty.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I just wrote this quote down because it made me laugh so hard. That's where I shine. Closing and ball tickling. I think that's where all women shine. We're just like, I know exactly what to do to give you what you want as fast as possible so that you will leave me the fuck alone.
Well, yeah, we learned to anticipate the needs.
I know. We're fucking amazing. Like, just, it's mind-boggling. I love this part where when you were talking about your biological dad and dealing with those feelings of abandonment, and when you had your reckoning with yourself and you realized that you had been looking to fill that void that he left in all the wrong places. And you said he didn't have the answers, but I did. And I got chills. I was like, ooh, yes. Because that's so true, no matter what the circumstances, right? Like, no matter what the hardship is, whatever we're going through, it's always, always, always within that we find the answers.
Yeah. I think that unfortunately it is easier for us to like blame the outside forces.
Of course.
I think sometimes it feels more painful, like in the forefront of the mind, but it's easier. It's so much harder to like take responsibility for how you've allowed something to impact your life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also so empowering when you do like take that responsibility and do the work and work through it and realize like, oh my gosh, I feel so free. I feel so light. This thing I've been holding on to was my responsibility, and I've now handled it like a boss ass bitch. Like
exactly. Yeah, but it is so much easier to just blame the other person. Because otherwise you have to do the work of healing yourself.
And our stories are comfortable, right? Like we think they're keeping us safe.
Mm-hmm.
They're really keeping us complacent and small.
Right. Yeah. And there was a point in time where that story did serve you of my dad left me. Mm-hmm. Like that served you to hold on to that hurt as a small child who didn't have the tools or the emotional capacity. I mean, our brains are still developing, like you can't have a philosophical conversation with yourself at 7.
I thought I could.
So, that there was a time when that thought did serve you, and our brains are always just trying to help us and protect us. But it's just a matter of coming of age when you have to look at your results that you're creating for yourself and ask yourself, okay, is this still serving me? Or is it time to let this go and deal with my own bullshit?
Yeah, I think it's those patterns, right? Like, I don't know if I just came up with this right now. I don't know if it's going to land, but it would be like going to a slot machine and you're doing a slot and then you hit the jackpot and now you're thinking like, I'm going to always hit the jackpot, but you don't. It's like, you're going to hit something different each time. You're going to win, you're going to lose.
Yep.
And it's these stories though, where we're like, okay, I was abandoned this one time, so this is just going to keep happening. And it's not. Every time you cha-ching, it's going to be a different answer. It's going to be a different result.
Right. Yes, exactly. But, that just goes back to like evolutionary biology, right? Like if something negative happens to us, we're going to like assume that that's like, okay, this is a thing in life and we need to avoid it at all costs because this really hurts.
Yeah. No. My favorite quote growing up was, a man who knows everything knows he knows nothing.
I love that one.
I love it so much because I think about it all the time. Because every time I think I'm telling myself a story and I'm thinking, and I'm starting to repeat it, or I'm seeing a pattern and trying to, think I'm so smart and I'm like piecing this together. Look at me, I'm so intuitive or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I step back and I'm like, no, you don't know anything. This is a brand new situation. Like, you can't pretend to understand what that person's thinking. You're not in their brain. Like, all you know is you and how you're reacting to this. And that's what you have. That's what you can control. Stay in your lane.
Yes. I haven't read this book yet. It's on my bookshelf and I will get to it this year. It's Man's Search for Meaning by Victor somebody. I'm so sorry. I forgot your last name, dude. But he was a Holocaust survivor. And the quote that I've heard so many times from that book is something along the lines of, freedom. That's the last freedom that any man has, is how you're going to react, how you're going to respond to any situation. Yeah. And like that thought is what got him through the fucking Holocaust.
I mean,
that thought got him through, after he got out of the camp and learning that his entire family was dead. No one else survived. And that thought got him through that, because it's true.
It is. I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, look, this situation is what it is. You can't control it. All you can control is you and how you decide to deal with it and how you decide to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're going to let it mean about you and what you're going to do next. That's it.
Yeah, completely.
Okay. So I want to talk about women and how it's so hard for us to speak up in the bed as far as what we want. And it actually doesn't feel good. I know you saw it in a porno, but no, thanks.
Yeah, I think that's so hard though, because you do risk rejection. You risk, like, men, I don't want to say like all men because that's mean, but a lot of men have very fragile egos.
Yes.
And I think we learn to tiptoe around those egos. And I think it's such an interesting thing because at the end of the day, you think that their ego would tell them, hey, this woman feels comfortable and safe enough to tell me what she wants. And I do want to please her. So I should be receptive to that. But I think in our brains, we're so worried that we're going to like hurt their feelings or that they're not going to, whatever, they're going to think it's weird. We're going to hurt their feelings. They're not going to want to do it anymore because you bruised their ego.
Right. Well, ego is different than confidence.
Yes. Not the ego of self, but,
Yeah. But I mean, ego in general, just, it's pretty fragile. But yeah, we are taught to like just baby men and always be worried about how someone else might take something that you say because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And the truth is, like, we don't control other people's feelings. We can't make anybody else feel any other way, like one way or another, because we don't control that. I don't control your thoughts. I can just control myself, and I can have confidence in myself. And as long as I am confident that I'm saying something out of a good place, I'm in integrity with myself. As long as I remain in integrity with myself, that's all I can do. I can't, you might hear something that I say and have a thought that's completely different than my intention, and then have whatever feeling you're going to have. And you get to have many feelings.
And hopefully you have a partner who is willing to, be in a collaborative process with you, since that's what a relationship should be.
Yes.
It's a collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
And then I also think too, one of the problems is that in media, especially for our generation, like we never really saw like women enjoying themselves on screen.
Yeah.
It was always, they're getting pushed against the wall and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, it's always like this building up of like tension and stuff where she clearly like wants it, but she's not going to say anything. She's going to wait for him to initiate.
Mm-hmm. And then he does his thing, and then it's like the end. And you don't really see, I don't think, besides like pornos, right? But like regular media, I can't think of anything off the top of my head where they showed like a man going down on a woman and it being like a good thing, not a funny thing. That was the other thing that I noticed when I was like kind of researching was whenever they would show like a female led scene, it was always like a joke. Like, oh, look at this horn dog woman. Like, oh, she's so crazy, or she's so gross, or, like it was, it had this storyline to it. Like there's something freaky and crazy about this woman for just like initiating or being interested even.
Yeah, we have like three options, basically: being an abstinent spinster who's never had sex, or being in a partnership where a guy chose us, and aren't we so lucky, as you would say, blessing us with his legendary dick. Another favorite line of mine from the book. Or we're sex crazed.
Yeah,
and
or you're the woman.
Huh?
They love. Or you're the other woman. The only time in media that it was appropriate to be like sensual and sexual and like be the aggressor is if you're like the one that they're having the affair with.
Yes. Yeah, that was it. Like, that's it. Those are our categories to fit in. And it's like, wait, what if I just want to be a woman who wants a committed relationship and also really enjoys sex and is confident in her body, so I'm going to wear whatever the fuck I want?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm happy that media is starting to shift and they're starting to show more things like that, more female-led storylines.
Yes.
Because we need them. Like, the younger generations need them. Like,
yes.
They need to see that that's normal and it's okay.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because sex is not just for men. It's not just like this role that we can play to help them fulfill like their highest level of pleasure. Yeah. It's for our pleasure too.
Yeah. I think unfortunately most of us grew up just thinking it's to make babies. Right now? Yeah.
Yep.
Make babies, keep the man happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Because, I mean, that's all sex is for, right?
No.
But also, like, only make babies in the right circumstances.
Yes.
If you aren't married, then this is a problem. I mean, like, the sex talk when we were kids was still very much focused on, like, I think even still nowadays, like, pregnancy is, like, the worst fucking thing that could ever happen to you. And to you, not the guy.
I was about to say, it's very female-led. They tell men, wrap your tool, and they tell girls, don't get pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's just like, what? Pregnancy is a personal choice, but like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Creating humans with my body was fucking amazing.
Yeah, and like, we literally make the people. We make the people.
Yes, we actually create the world, honestly. Like, moms, right, in my mind, are the most powerful and significant segment of human population because we are the ones who are going to raise the next Hitler or the next Martin Luther King Jr., the next president, the next whatever. Like, that's us. And yet we're actually the most marginalized and underserved community of people in history.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about moms.
No, and it doesn't matter like the culture or the time period or the race, the language, it doesn't fucking matter. That is a common theme throughout all humanity.
Yeah.
Is moms are on the back burner.
I think it's just like a jealousy thing. I think that for men, it's like the conquerors, right? Like, we conquer, but they can't conquer life because they can't make the lives.
Right. Right.
Even though they're true. Yeah, you know.
Yes. I recently reread the book of Esther in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I was so angry. I was so mad. It is the most bullshit story. And it's the only book that is like supposed to be dedicated to a woman. Yet it focuses mostly on, like, the narrative of it focuses mostly on Mordecai, her uncle.
Yeah.
And his great deeds and how he ended up being the right hand of the king and all the things that King Xerxes and Mordecai did for the betterment of humanity after the bad guy got killed. I forgot the name of the guy. But something that was so fascinating to me about that story was King Xerxes, not first wife, but wife before Esther, was Queen Vashti. And he dethroned her ass because he threw himself a 6-month party to celebrate his greatness. But the 6 months of partying was only for the elite. So the peasants still had to like work and do like normal life for those 6 months. But then all the peasants got 1 week of partying. And after the 6 months of partying for the important people. And then in this last week of this ridiculous fucking party that he threw for himself, He had the audacity, because the men were with Xerxes partying and the women were with Vashti partying. So like separated them. He had the audacity to summon her to come and parade her ass around all of the drunken men to show off how pretty she was. And she said no. She's like, no. And then there's actual conversation in the Bible of Xerxes' administrators and like people who giving him advice saying, you have to do something about this woman because all the other women are going to hear about this story and they're going to start disrespecting their husbands. We're going to have a revolution on our hands. And I was so just like fired up because I was like, those fuckers, they knew that if women fucking like realized how powerful they were, that we would just take over everything. So the entire book of Esther is really about a king who was going through all of these things to continue to control women and make sure that they knew their place. But Queen Vashti was the first, I think, probably recorded feminist. And all hail Queen Vashti. Fucking boss queen. Can you imagine if your husband threw a fucking ridiculous 6-month party for himself and then wanted you to come and like parade in front of all the men so they could like cheer at your beauty?
You'd have to find a new place to live. You know, have fun. Enjoy your 6-month party. 6 months for the rest of your life.
Right? But it's insane, the shit that women have gone through. And it's like, yeah, that was all the way back in Bible times before Jesus was around. But to go from that to actual liberation, we're not there yet.
Well, no, it was only like, what, the 50s when things started even happening? So, I mean, it really hasn't even been that long. It hasn't even been 100 years. Like,
no, it hasn't been that long. And women couldn't get their own bank accounts without a man co-signing and opening it like for her basically until the 60s. And we couldn't get credit cards without a man until the 70s.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, it hasn't been that long.
No, it really hasn't.
And when you're talking about like unprogramming our minds of like, okay, this is what a man should do, this is what a woman should do, this is what these roles look like, that's going to take like another century.
Easily. It's just, I mean, I want to, like the feminist in me does get really upset, but then I also can't fully blame men. I can blame them for the responsibility that they have to like deal with their own shit, but I can't blame them for how they were raised because, you know, their parents were following their parents, were following their parents. I think every generation we try to do a little better.
Yeah.
You know? But my thing is like, look, if I can unpack all my shit, you can unpack your shit too. So
precisely. Get your own podcast, guys. Okay. Start doing the work.
Exactly.
Okay. The Girlfriend's Guide to Not Ever Being Too Much, written by men for women.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
It is like, for me, I remember being me, and then I remember that first click when a man rejected me, when a boy rejected me and told me I was too much, you know, or that I had too much baggage. And then that next click where it was like, okay, well then it's safer for me to just be what men think I should be. And I think that happens to so many of us, and it sucks, especially when you get to like those older, like high school, like early 20s, you know, where you feel more adult. You think like you're coming into yourself, but you also, you know, like you still care about what people think about you, and you want to be loved. I mean, that's literally like, that's in our nature. Like we all want love. We want connection.
Yeah.
And so it was, for me, it was just a complete loss of self, because I just thought, okay, like who I am is clearly too much, which makes me so sad that I just abandoned myself because of one guy's opinion. But I did, you know, I really did. And I played the game, and I think they call it now, like, they call it something like the cool girl, or there's like a name for it on TikTok or whatever. The pick me girl. It's the pick me girl. They call it the pick me girl, which is so funny. I didn't have a name for it, but that's what they call it now. And it's, you know, where you're like, all of a sudden you like all the things that guys like, and you're super cool to be around. You can, you know, drink beer for beer with the guys, and, you know, like you're cool. You don't really care about things. Like if he doesn't text you back, it's like, whatever.
Right.
You know, that pretending to be just so chill, and also like so sexy when you're supposed to be, but also, you know, just literally putting on a costume every day, basically.
Yeah. 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 No, well, it's like, so stupid that I'm quoting Ariana Grande, but Laurelyn loves Ariana Grande. So I've been listening a lot to her songs. And her song, Positions, she's talking about switching up positions for you. She's like, I'm going to be a freak in the bed on Sunday, and then have to go meet your mom on Monday, but I'm going to do it for you. And it's like, no, just be you. Like, but that is how we're raised. We have, because of the people pleasing and the caregiver and the needing to be picked. We're waiting for a guy to pick us and say, yeah, you are enough. You are perfect. I want you. And that's when we know that we've, you know, finally magically become a perfect person.
I don't know if this is like your experience, but for me, when I got to that, like that age, and especially like once I became sexually active and stuff, I always knew that I was different, like just in general, like I just a little quirkier and things like that. And plus I have very pale skin, like I look different than like the standard, like the beauty standard, things like that. It didn't bother me that much until I like got into these relationships, and then I would see the other women around me and realize like I was the only one that looked the way I did, or dressed the way I dressed, or had the same, like the interests that I did. And it would really make me question myself. It's not their fault, but yeah, it was really like, okay, I need to blend in. I'm like sticking out too much in these groups, and this person's not going to want to be with me if I'm like the only one in this group of 8 that, you know, is this way.
Right.
And so, you know, it was really like a survival instinct, I think, you know?
Well, yeah. And I mean, honestly, you can like track that down back to evolutionary biology as well, because if you weren't in a pack, if you weren't in a village, if you weren't in some sort of a tribe, and you were out there by yourself, you're going to die. Like, you're not going to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. So I tried really hard to like fit into that mold so that I wasn't, you know, so I wasn't going to be the one left behind.
Yeah. You didn't want to be out in the wilderness all by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is. It's hard being like the only one, like doing your own thing outside of Abercrombie and Fitch, when everyone is just like a model out of their catalog. And then you're just there like yourself. And for me, like I always got the resting bitch face commentary of like how I'm just too intimidating and too hard to get to know because of my face. So like if you could just fix your face, then you could be loved. Like seriously, fix my face? I always smile all the time. Is this better? Does this make you feel comfortable? I think it looks creepy.
Oh my God.
My face. So yeah, you were trying to change, you know, your skin and smelling like a daisy. And I was like worried about my face not hurting people's feelings.
Yeah.
I don't smile all the time.
Well, women are told to smile all the time. I mean, that kind of like caveats into the whole anger thing, right?
Yes.
Like, we're not supposed to have, like, I remember, it sounds so dumb now, but I remember a few years ago when I posted an Instagram photo of myself not smiling for the first time. And I was like really scared to post it because I thought, oh, people are going to think I look mean. And then I had to sit with that thought. Like, what is your problem? This is your face. Like, this is what you look like when you're just relaxed. Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with your relaxed face.
Yeah, but I don't think any of us could actually look at a picture of ourselves with a relaxed face and think anything other than, oh God, I look like a bitch.
Yeah.
That would actually be a really fascinating, like, social experiment to get a huge group of women to do that and see if we all come up with that same thought. Because I struggle with that too. If I look at a picture of myself, unless it's like a sexy picture where like I'm doing that thing, then it's okay. But if it's just like me with a straight, like I'm fine. I'm not angry. I'm not mad. I'm not sad. I'm just like neutral right now. I'm just chilling. I would look at that picture and be like, oh God, yeah, resting bitch face. I should fix something. I should fix that.
The funny thing is that even when I posted it, I posted my whole, it was like my own way of still trying to like validate that story, because I could have just posted the photo and let it be what it was. But instead I was still so worried that people were going to perceive it as mean that I shared my story about how I was worried that it was going to be mean,
right,
and how I unpacked that. And now when I look at it, I'm like, you were still having issues because you had to share that story.
Yes.
Like, needing to validate it out loud so that no one thinks I'm being mean or that I have a bitch face.
Right.
Was still playing into it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And I see that in myself and in other women too. Like whenever we are trying to like be vulnerable and push ourselves out of, society's comfort bubble, we try to validate it. We're still looking for that validation. We're still explaining ourselves. It's like so hard to just do something and stick to your decision and not explain it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And yet you can do it all the time. They just like decide stuff.
Yeah.
They just stop at In-N-Out after work and have a burger. And they don't explain themselves at all.
Yeah. That's a great example. Oh my gosh. When I was like in the height of my body issues, I remember Derek and I were living together, but I worked like out like more in like Laverne.
Okay.
And so I was driving from Laverne to Long Beach to go home where I was living.
Oh my God.
And I stopped at an In-N-Out because I was so hungry, and I like got some animal style fries, and I like scarfed them in my car and threw away the trash, like 3 trash cans down from my trash can, because heaven forbid he knew I was hungry and ate. Like, what?
Oh my God. I know. And I've had incidents with like another female in my car, and I decided like, we're going to stop and get some food. I know that wasn't a part of the plan, but I'm fucking hungry. The kids are driving me nuts and they need to shut up because they're hungry too. Like, we're going to murder each other if we don't have some food. And then that female is like, oh, well, let me text like the guys at home and see if they want any food, because I don't want to like, we can't come home and like not have food for them, because it'd be really rude if we didn't even ask. And I'm like, why? Why would it be rude? They could be eating right now. Right. They could be right now getting their own fucking food because it's their job to feed themselves.
Yeah.
Like, if you're hungry, just eat.
That's a great example too, because I can't tell you how many times I did that, and only to find out, get the text back, like, oh no, I already ate. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And you had to wait for that text for like 20 minutes. So you've been sitting in the parking lot of whatever establishment you wanted to go to for 20 minutes starving, because you're so worried that they're going to be mad at you if you eat without them, without offering. Yet they already ate. They didn't say shit to you because they don't have to.
Yeah. And how sad to think that you have to almost ask for permission to eat food without someone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And then we'd get pissed off, right? It'd be like, well, you could have fucking told me that. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes, like waiting for you to text me back.
Yeah.
And then it starts.
Because I'm patient.
Yeah. It's like, it starts this fight. It's like, you didn't have to do that at all. Like this whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And yet we keep doing it.
If I know Derek might be hungry, I'll text him and I'm like, you have to tell me now though, or you get nothing.
Right.
Because I'm not going to.
There is a expiration on this offer of approximately like 90 seconds, not even a full 2 minutes. Like, let's go.
Completely.
Yeah, but we can do that. Listen, women, we can do this. And it does not make you rude, okay? It doesn't make you rude to eat when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my friend. So after you wrote this book and unpacked all of these stories, like, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this question. How did you see your love for yourself grow? And also, did it spark any habits that you intentionally placed in your life to pour into yourself?
Yeah. I think that it was slow for me, probably because I had spent so much time hating myself that there was an initial like release. I think I cried a lot, but like happy cries, because it just I felt really light. I felt really free. And then, like I said, like pandemic hit at the same time. So that kind of was, I feel like my process was delayed a little bit because I had just done this and I had all the tools, and yet then I felt like I was drowning and I just like let the tools. I was like, okay, tools, you can just fuck off. I'm not going to sit here and
Back to our original programming, because I can depend on that.
Yeah, I really did, you know, and then it's so interesting because the body knows, like, I really, really believe that our bodies, like, talk to us when they've had enough.
Oh, 100%.
I started, like, breaking out hives, which I've never had hives in my life.
Yeah.
And I had, like, this huge patch right here, and it would itch, and it was crazy. And, like, I had, like, this craziness, like, all over my back, and my body was just like, listen, bitch, we just went through all this emotional turmoil to get you to a good place on the other side, and now you're going right back into your stupid hole. Get out. And and I was like so frustrated and so confused, and I think I just kind of had a come to Jesus moment where it was like, what are you doing? Like, you know what you need to do. Why are you allowing these old patterns to sink back in? Like, you just spent so much time doing all this work, and you know what's on the other side, and it's so good and sunny on the other side. Like, why are you sitting here in this rain cloud on purpose, just piddling your feet? Like, knock it off.
Well, you know, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And you were still getting to know that other side. And also, it's a lot of work. So it's hard. It can be, even though like you have experienced the joy on the other side, you've experienced the rainbows and the butterflies and the grass and all the shit. You're like, but I remember the mountain I had to climb to get there, and I'm just really tired.
Yeah, and honestly, getting to know yourself again is kind of a lot of work too, because you have to ask yourself questions like that just seem so fucking stupid to ask yourself. Like, to be a grown woman and not even know like what my favorite color was or my favorite flower.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I had really lost myself in motherhood, and I had just really lost myself from years of shitting on myself and letting other people's opinions weigh me down. And so it's like, this is another dumb example. I have like a picture on the floor over here, but like starting to actually like do things in my office. That was like one of the things, like I painted the walls. No other wall in my house is this color or anywhere near this color. But I sat here for a long time and thought, who am I and what color do I want?
Yeah.
And at first I did the thing that I would normally do, where I'd like start asking around, like, oh, Derek, what do you think? Oh, like call my best friend. What do you think?
Yep. Outsourcing your authority.
Yeah. And so it's like little things like that kind of became my ritual of, okay, how about I pick one thing a day that if I have to sit there all day and think about it, I'll sit there all day and think about it. Like, but to figure it out about me without the outside voices or without any of those stories coming in, like, who are you? What do you like? Who is Andi?
Right.
And so, yeah.
Well, yeah, but when you're socialized as a woman, no one's telling us, like, you need to make decisions on your own. You need to figure out what you like and then just stick with it because you like it and that's enough. We are always, always, always trying to fit in. We have to fit into a mold that someone else has designed for us. So we're constantly just trying to shift ourselves and put highlights in and makeup and the right clothes. Of course, we don't know what we fucking like or what our actual opinion is. I mean, just look at any group of pubescent girls, ask them a question, and they will silently amongst themselves, like a hive mind, determine who the leader is going to be and look at her. And then she says, like, oh no, we're not hungry, thanks. And all the other girls are going to follow in line. No one's going to be the fat cow to be like, actually, I'm starving and I would love some snacks.
Yeah, completely.
Because it would make you a fat cow to say, I'm hungry.
Whatever, right? Whatever your story is for yourself in that moment.
Yes. So of course you didn't know what color to paint, your office, and you didn't know what flower. I've shared this story so many times. I didn't know what my favorite flower was until my sister asked me what it was. And I had no answer because I had never thought about it. It was literally like she was speaking a different language to me. I was like, what? That's a thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that I don't like roses. That's all I know.
What's so funny is that for my wedding, and this is how far back I went into like really realizing, oh my gosh, I don't even know who I am. For my wedding, the flowers I chose weren't even my favorite. They were my grandparents' favorites. And they weren't even alive, so we're not they were there to enjoy them. Like how my papa really liked yellow roses, so I like yellow roses. My grandma liked water lilies, so I like water lilies. And it was like the weirdest, like, oh my gosh, I've been basing things off of what other people like or the sentimental whatever. Like, that's not even me.
Right.
Me.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And then we enter into motherhood that way. And it strips us down to the bare bones and we realize, fuck, there's nothing here. I have nothing to cling to.
Did you ever see the movie Bride Wars with Anne Hathaway and Kate, whoever?
No, I haven't seen that movie.
Okay. Well, it's Anne Hathaway, Kate Hudson, and long story short, there's like part near the end where Anne Hathaway is wearing her mom's wedding dress and she's surprising her mom by wearing this old, outdated wedding dress. So her mom comes in the room and sees her and she's like, oh, wow, you're wearing my dress. Like, how beautiful. And she's like, Anne Hathaway's character says, are you happy? And her mom looks at her and says, honey, are you happy? This isn't about me. This is your day. And she ends up not getting married at that time and whatever. It's great. But I think about that a lot because like that's literally how I was all the time. It was like, let me do these things to make someone else happy, or, oh, does someone else like this? Well, then I'm going to do this because it'll make them smile.
Right.
Which is nice, but it's also a way of hiding from yourself.
Right.
You know?
And it's also, I mean, people pleasing is a form of manipulation. We're trying to change ourselves into what we think the other person wants so that they'll like us. Because if we just are ourselves, they might reject us. So we're going to try to manipulate the situation.
Yeah. For me, it was, I think, always a protection from being abandoned.
Yes.
It was like, if I center you, then I'm protecting me from getting hurt.
Yeah, they'll never want to leave you because you give them everything you want and make them happy.
Yeah. And then you're just like this string of a human.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. And it's so, it's just so heartbreaking because we're not the only ones. Like, this is every woman's story. whether they're a mom or they're not. This is every woman's story because we're all socialized this way.
Yeah, completely. And that's what I say in my book. It's like, no one's like bag. I call it the bag. No one's bag is going to look the same as mine. Everyone's going to have their own things, but like we all have a bag.
Yeah.
We all have a bag. It's full of a bunch of shit we've accumulated from our life. And, you know, it's up to us to deal with it.
Yep. 100%. And just being brave enough to admit, like, okay, I have no idea who I am, but I'm going to figure it out now.
Yeah.
Not letting it mean that there's something wrong with you or that you've failed miserably or shaming yourself. Like, how the fuck did I do this? How did I get here? Why did I do this to myself? Just acknowledging it, admitting it, and then letting it go and being like, okay, we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it can really be a fun adventure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like making a new
yeah, no, like literally, like you are making a new friend. You know, like being single right now has been such an eye opener because I haven't been on my own since I was 19. Yeah. You know, and I used to have like all these shows that I would watch all the time, but it was because he watched them, and that was the only time we spent together. And then, you know, my next relationship, it was similar. And now that I'm by myself, I don't watch very much TV or movies at all. And I'm fine with it. Like I'm fine with that. I like reading. I really love reading, and I love journaling and being in my thoughts and just figuring out like, oh, hey, I like this. This is fun.
Yeah,
it is. It's an adventure.
That's another thing I did that you just reminded me of. For about a year, I think I would try to at least once a week take myself out on like a little date.
I love that.
It was just like go get coffee and like stroll around the store, whatever. Maybe go walk through a park, but just like once a week, you know, committing to that, and it was nice because, you know, getting to know yourself again is cool.
Getting to know yourself for the first time ever is really amazing.
Yeah. I feel like when I was a kid, I knew exactly who I was. I was so sure. I was just like headstrong like our kids. And then, you know, I got in the way. And now yeah.
I don't know. For me, it was different. I feel like I was always trying to fit into a mold. I remember in first grade, I was at my, at the time, best friend's house hanging out. And once we were in her room, she was just like, so who do you have a crush on? I totally have a crush on so-and-so. And I remember so starkly thinking in that moment, like, I don't have a crush on anybody. I don't know. But I didn't want to admit that because I didn't want to seem weird. So I just said, oh yeah, totally. Me too. He's so cute. In first grade.
Yeah.
To my supposed best friend. Like, I didn't want to be weird.
Yeah, no, I get it. I can show you a little bit. It's too funny. So Derek recently asked me why I have this picture up in my office. But I love it so much. And let's see if you can see my face in it.
I can't see your face.
It's like a princess. I know it's like glaring for some reason.
Oh, I see you.
And I'm like, but I love it so much. I'm literally like, as she's like, and he was like, why did you have that? I'm like, I have no idea where this is from. I do not remember it at all. It's a birthday party, clearly. Someone hired a princess.
Right.
But I love this little girl because she did not care. She was just like, this is weird. Like,
little Andi did not give any fucks.
He really did it. And I keep it up because I just love it. It's such a great reminder to me. Like, who cares if everyone else at the party like loves the princess?
I know.
Like, you don't have to.
No, you don't. It's okay. Yeah. No, for sure. I would absolutely like hold on to that picture forever.
And I still make that face when I'm uncomfortable or when someone does something. I'm like, and I'm like, oh no, I did it.
Oh no, fix your face. You might hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah.
I'm just having a realization right now that the only time I ever felt like I was truly myself was with my sister. And now I'm going to cry. Yeah. I miss my sister.
Your safe place.
Yeah.
That your kids are really lucky, that they have each other, because you know how special that is. Like, yeah, it's a special bond.
It is.
Not everyone has it, but when you do get it, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, my girls fight like the Dickens. Oh my God. They just fight so much. But they also love each other, I think.
I mean, it's a lot of different personalities, but I'm sure they'll all have each other's backs. And as they get older, their relationships with each other will grow.
Yes. Yeah, no. And they do have each other's backs. Like, this is such a weird example. But Ozzy and Laurelyn are like really hot and cold with one another. Like super, super hot and cold. But this morning on our drive into Hudson, I caught Ozzy randomly saying to Laurelyn, like, Laurelyn, remember, I promise you, and I will hold on to this promise, that when you die, I will put Purple Bear and all of your babies on your headstone so that you have them with you. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. You're looking out for her. And Eowyn was like, why are you talking about that? That's weird. Stop it. I was like, no, it's sweet. Like, she's saying, like, I'm going to have your back. Like, I'll make sure that you are properly represented after you die and you have all of your special friends that you cuddle with every night.
I love that. Oh my God.
And Arya was like, so basically, Ozzy, you're saying that Laurelyn's going to die. And I'm like, Arya, everybody is going to die. That is a sure thing. And Ozzy is just saying, I know that this is a fact. And if you go first, I got you. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. But we couldn't like agree on it. So I was like, whatever. Ozzy, I think that was beautiful.
That's the difference between having 2 and having 4. Because I get those beautiful moments, but then there's no one to object to.
Yeah, it's always interesting when someone brings up a topic and all 4 of them have, like, they're just, sharing all their opinions. And one of them is like, what is wrong with you guys? Like the last time that happened, someone brought up, like, when, I don't know why they talked about this. And it was on the way to school again. So I don't know what is wrong with my children. And like the morning ride to school, where we have these deep conversations. But someone brought up, like, at what age would you just want to like kick the bucket and die? And I know, I don't know. And Arya was like, if I could be like Great Nana and like still just be chilling and working and doing my own thing, like, I think that'd be good. So Great Nana's 85, right, Mom? I'm like, yep, she's 85. She's like, all right, then 85 is good. But, and Laurelyn instantly, like, without any hesitation, she was just like, I don't want to be in a diaper. Once I have to be in a diaper, I'm done. I don't want to, no more. And Eowyn was so disturbed by the conversation. She was like, why are you guys talking about this? This is horrible. And Laurelyn, what if something happens to you and you have to be in a diaper when you're 40? Laurelyn was like, I'm done.
She's like, I did the diaper thing. It wasn't for me. I'm not doing it again.
But yeah, it's important to like know you're a woman. So, my kids, they know themselves. Eowyn wants to live no matter what. Laurelyn, when she has to be in a diaper, she's out. Arya, same thing. She was just like, yeah, the diaper is my line too. And Ozzy, just went with it too. But I mean, truly, think that's my line as well. Is the diaper. So
That would be a rough one.
so, well, I love you so much and I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy to be like featuring your book and giving it away to someone.
I know. Thank you. And I love you too. And I'm also proud of you. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I really do. Yeah, and you're so good at it. You really
Thank
are.
you. And
You're someone who has like been through so much that like you have such lived experience, and then also like this beautiful toolbox. So I just think that people who get a chance to work with you are very fortunate.
thank you. I cannot wait to see what comes of all of your screenplays that you're writing. I can't wait to like watch your shows. Like, I know that that's going to happen. Like in my mind, that's like a certainty. That's not like, oh, what if? It's like, yeah, one day I'm going to watch Andi's show on TV and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I'm making one adapted from my book, so that'll be fun.
I love that. I love that so much because it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. And we all need to unpack our shit and we all need to go on this journey of loving ourselves. Because I keep saying this, at the end of the day, you know, every relationship ends, whether it's because someone completes the relationship or someone dies. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean divorce. Like, you are your own soulmate at the end of it.
Yeah. Yes, 1,000%. And I wish people talked about that more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm glad that like we talked about earlier, that we're raising these new generations of kids to be more sure of themselves and to trust themselves and to listen to themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. Just give it another couple decades and maybe we'll have some good thing going.
So if there's one parting, you know, pearl of wisdom that you would want to give women and moms listening to this, what would it be?
I think that knowing that you want to change something, or that you're seeing, you know, like, okay, I need to like do something. I don't understand how I've gotten to where I am. I want to figure it out. That's great. But then I think it's really hard to figure out where to start because there's so many things. So my thing is, like, I always try to say to just kind of sit with yourself in a meditation and try to go back in your mind to the first point that you can remember where something happened, someone said something, whatever, that made you feel that first thing about yourself, like that you weren't worthy or that you weren't smart, you know, whatever that story is, try to find it. And it doesn't mean it's the first one. You might find first ones after, but just kind of sit in that space with yourself and try to find the first thing that you can think of, the farthest back, and start there. Because that's the first thing in the bag, you know? And I always say it's just like easier to come from that place, because I think it's easier for us to forgive the younger version of ourselves first than it is to forgive these older versions of ourselves, because we think, well, I should have known better. I'm however old,
right.
Which is not true. It's not true.
Nope.
But it's so much easier to go back to when you were 6 or when you were whatever and forgive that person first and deal with that little girl first and give her the love that she needed.
Yeah.
Then you build from there.
Yes. I love that. I love that so much. And this is going to be the last question. So what is something that you would want to say to future Andi, a year from now, Andi?
Geez, year from now, Andi, I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I want to tell her I'm proud of her, because I still struggle with that feeling of being enough or being worthy. It's the imposter syndrome all the time.
Yes.
Like, I am a published author, and yet I have a hard time saying that out loud.
Right.
You know? And so, but I'm proud of me now, Andi, because regardless, I'm still showing up every day. I'm getting in my office. I'm doing the work. I'm, workshopping my things. I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Doing it scared, doing it uneasy, and working through those feelings too. So
doing it scared. That is exactly what it takes.
Yeah.
Being scared and doing it anyways.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've always seen in you and just admired the shit out of you for.
Thank you. I'm very stubborn. Hard with myself. I'm like, okay, we can fight about this, and I'm still gonna do it.
I love that. I love that so much.
So.
Well, I'll do a little closeout here. So anybody listening, if you would like to win your own copy of Andi's book, Love Unpacked, and a Starbucks gift card, all you have to do is share this episode or any episode of Fuck It Mothering or Andi's podcast, Love Unpacked. I will link both of them in the description. Make sure to tag one or both of us when you do this so that we know that you did it, or comment on the podcast or give it a review. But again, take a screenshot of it and send it to one of us. Otherwise, we won't know. You'll get entered into the raffle, and March 1st, I will announce who wins. And if you don't win, it's okay, because she is a published author and you can buy her shit on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, right?
Yeah.
And Indie Bookbound? Mm-hmm. Yes, because she is legitimate and amazing, and every woman needs to read this book.
Thank you.
I love you dearly.
I love you too.
Are you living your best wild one life? You're not? Why the fuck not? What are you waiting for? The time to live is now, mama. Click the link in my show notes to set up your free 30-minute coaching and consultation so you can experience how life coaching can change your life. You've put yourself off long enough. It's time to pour into you. Join the community of Fuck It Moms by following me on Instagram and Facebook at Fuck It Mothering. That's fuck without the U. So FCK It Mothering. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss your weekly encouragement. And please rate, review, comment, and share. All of these things help with the algorithms, so that way when other overwhelmed moms are looking for encouragement, they can find me. Every month, I give away one of my favorite books to a lucky winner. All you have to do to enter is write a review or tag me in social media when you share an episode. See you next Sunday, gorgeous.